Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All that jam. Quick hit. Getting to know melody trucks.
Today we're joined by Melody Trucks, a daughter of the Allman Brothers band family, and a singer and percussionist in her own right. How are we doing today, Melody?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm fantastic, fantastic. Let me just start off. I see you're playing someplace called Zen West in May. I'm in
hmm
Baltimore, and I have never heard of this place, and it's the second time in 2 days I've seen it pop up.
so it all ties back to the people that I'm playing music with right now, which mainly it's a young set of brothers called the Fitzkee Brothers, and they live in Lewis, Delaware, and their mother is actually my agent as of now. And she's a talent buyer for a club up in that area, and so she knows a lot of the smaller clubs, and so she's the one who got me turned on to Zen West. This will be our
Yeah,
first time there.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to try to get down there. It looks like
Please
it's a
do.
Mexican restaurant too of some kind. So,
Sounds good to me.
right, not gonna argue with that. Not gonna argue. So, all right. Well, why don't we pop back to the beginning and then we'll go through some of that other stuff. You, I guess, took a decidedly different path to becoming a musician than most people did.
Yes, I did. I actually started playing music when I was 7 years old, but I was a flautist. I played flute. I uh, all through elementary school, high school, and then once I got into high school, I did what a lot of people do, and I just decided to start trying other instruments. So I went through clarinet, saxophone, oboe. I tried bassoon, but that didn't work. I couldn't even get a noise out of it. But when you're in competitive, high school music, one of the things you do is called solo and ensemble. And my junior year, I started playing percussion ensembles at solo and ensemble, as well as, I think my senior year, I had a flute solo, a flute trio, a clarinet solo, a sax solo, an oboe solo, and six percussion ensembles that I did.
Right.
So, um, so that's really when I started playing percussion, was in high school. But then when I got into college, I actually dove deep into ethnomusicology. I studied Balinese batucadas, or excuse me, Balinese gamelan and Brazilian batucada samba for 4 years at Florida State. Um, Now, when I say I studied at Florida State, I audited all those classes. I was never officially a Florida State student, but I did get to study, and I really loved Balinese gamelan, and ended up going to Bali for a summer and studying at university there with like the lead gamelan professor. Um, so then I moved to Atlanta and became a professional big band swing dancer for a couple years.
Nice.
So I was still performing, but I wasn't playing music. And then I moved to Jacksonville and I got married and had children and didn't do anything for years.
Raise your
Um,
kids.
well, yeah, I mean, as far as
Right,
performing
right.
is concerned, I didn't do anything in performing for a very long time. And then when my dad put Butch Trucks and the Freight Train together, um, I
Oh,
started sitting in with him every once in a while. It all started with a jam that happened at the BBC, the Bradfordville Blues Club in Tallahassee, with a kid named Hub Chasen, who was one of the kids that used to, or that still goes to my dad's Roots Rock Revival Camp up in New York. So my dad was coming to town. Hub invited him to the jam. I was coming, and I pulled Hub aside and said, "Listen, my dad's never heard me sing. I mean, he had heard me sing, but like lullabies to my kids. I had never really dug into performing vocally." And so I sat in with them that night, and then dad started inviting me to sing with Butch Trucks and the Freight Train. And that started 2 years before he passed away. So that would have been in 2015. And then once he passed, that's when I realized, I'm not promised tomorrow. So about 3 or 4 months after he passed away, I put the Melody Trucks band together. And that's when I really started it.
Very nice. Did your dad, obviously, he was had gone through the music industry. Did he give you any advice about being a musician?
He gave everyone advice about being a musician. I don't know if you knew my dad at all, but he did not he didn't have much of a filter in the best way possible. So one of the things that he loved about playing music, especially the type of music that they really were pioneers of, them and a few other bands were really the pioneers of the genre that they're in. And they're not, they're classified as Southern rock, but that's not really what they are, because they've got too much jazz elements in them. And But anyway, one of the things he loved about it the most was that it was a form of communication. It wasn't just a rehearsed group of notes that you play the same way every time. He craved that teetering on the edge of a train wreck. And the biggest piece of advice he told me about being a musician is, don't be afraid to sound bad. Get out there and just let yourself go. And sometimes it might fall apart, but sometimes it'll go to places you never have dreamed. And that was the biggest piece of advice that I've taken with me as a musician. Business is business, but what I want to take from him is what it actually means to be a true musician who's connecting with other individuals and creating something greater than the sum of ourselves. So, yeah.
You have this whole tradition that you're talking about that you come from. How do you balance that with trying to add stuff like the world music and things like that?
The record that I'm working on right now is the first time I'm really going to be introducing that kind of stuff. So I'm still working that out. I have some really fun ideas, but we're just going to have to see how it plays out. I've done a lot of very traditional stuff. I play a set of congas on stage, but I'm not a congueras.
Right.
I know how to make noises out of conga drums, but I bow to true Latin percussionists and would never say that I'm actually a true Latin percussionist. It's just the type of drums that are quote unquote acceptable to play on a rock and roll stage.
You aren't going to put yourself up there with Tito Puente or something?
Oh, heck no. He's amazing. No. Mark is, Mark Quinones is one of the best out there. And, I aspire, but that's, I haven't done the work that they've done.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I show the utmost respect to the fact that they have a true culture and I'm playing some drums.
Right. I hear you.
But as far as the other things, I really want to, I've got some shows in my head that are going to be bringing in more elements of percussion. And even some, if it works out right, some gamelan. The things that's tricky about gamelan is not tuned to a scale, it's tuned to itself. So it could be that the piece that I do have a piece of a gamelan, and it could be that it's just not compatible with Western instruments and it will sound really bad. Right. Because the instrument, the gamelan itself, is a 25 minimum piece orchestra that is melodic, but it's tuned to the gamelan itself. It's not tuned to a specific scale. So that's going to be tough, but it's going to be fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We spoke to somebody, a guy named Anayat Hussein, who is a tabla player.
Mhm.
and he was saying that it's tough incorporating that, but he did an album with just a guy playing organ. So I
Right.
guess they could focus, and figure
Right.
out how to, if you have one instrument trying to do it as opposed to a whole band might.
Right. The thing that's so beautiful about ethnomusicology and the different types of music from all over the world is while the instrumentation might sound different, it's still just a universal language that we can all understand.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the demonstration that Bobby McFerrin does about the pentatonic scale
Mm-hmm.
and about how he gets the entire audience to sing the same thing just by prompting four notes.
Right.
It's, that's, it's such a beautiful way to communicate. And the fact that such diverse and rich sounds have come out of every corner of the world, it's just fascinating to me. I love it. So
It is crazy. So let's do the Melody Trucks band, because I think that was a large part of your career for a while, correct?
absolutely. That was my first band, my first real band where I actually, was trying to do something. And those guys were phenomenal. You know, we recorded a record together. We spent 4.5 years together, almost 5. And, it was a beautiful thing that we had going. Unfortunately, like I said, the pandemic came along and kind of messed all sorts of things up for a whole lot of people, not just us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we all had to find ways to make a living now that, I had a corporate job, but this was their bread and butter. So it's like they had to go and find their new livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time everything came back around, we had one that was in Tennessee and another one about to move to London, and, full-time jobs. And it just, we all came together so organically to begin with. And once the pandemic was kind of ending, getting back together was no longer organic. And so it felt like we were trying to force it. And so it just couldn't, it didn't. So, and I miss those guys. They were some of the most amazing musicians I've ever played with. And, they're all doing great, and they're all, on their own paths. And I love every single one of them, but, it ended when it was supposed to end, unfortunately.
Right.
So,
And the LP was called Walking in Gratitude. That was the only
yeah,
LP you guys released?
that's the only LP we released. Yes.
Okay, Lou, you want to talk about that a little? Now, was this was all original material, or was it
Yes.
originals and covers?
It was all original.
Okay.
And the thing that was so beautiful about that project, it was fully, like, everyone was part of the creative process. Everyone, just about everyone, save for one person, actually was a lead writer on at least one of the songs, if not more. Everyone in the band was a lead singer on at least one of the songs. It was a truly collaborative effort. And I love that about that record is it's like, it wasn't, and the Melody Trucks band was never just about me, ever. When we put the band together, I was like, this is not my band, this is our band. That's why when it ended, I was like, there will never be Melody Trucks band again, because that was a very special and very specific thing that we did. So yeah, all of the guys, like I said, wrote at least one, sang at least one, and it was a beautiful project. And Walking in Gratitude came from after my dad passed away. I stayed in a pretty dark place for a while. It was not an easy time for me. And I just had to keep reminding myself that I still had so much to be grateful for. And that was something that I just kept saying, I'm walking in gratitude. I'm just walking. And it was the kind of fake it till you make it kind of idea that just kind of grew into this record. You know, I had decided that I wanted to call the band Walking in Gratitude, or not the band, the record Walking in Gratitude. And then I think it was Isaac and Brady. Isaac has this really great cabin. His family owns a cabin up in Franklin, North Carolina, up in the mountains. and they would go. He and Brady would go up there to write songs together, and they came back with Fire Inside, and it has Walking in Gratitude in the lyrics, and that became the title track of the record. So,
Now,
and one
now
of my
how did
favorites. So
you said it was all collaborative? Everybody brought their own ideas in. Were all the lyrics yours, or people brought
no,
in lyrics also?
we were it was truly fully collaborative. So
Right.
yeah.
And all the songs have been road tested, I'm guessing. You had been playing them for a while before they were recorded?
Some
Okay.
yeah, but some no, you know,
Okay.
some we like, so like with West's song "Live in a Lie," okay, that was a tested song. He and his dad actually wrote that together, and it was originally, he would sing it alone, and we decided in the studio for it to be a duet. So that was like that night when I was singing it in the studio was the first night I ever sang that song. So,
Oh,
you know, so, um, let's see. I think a couple of the songs we had never performed live. I don't think we had done Before I Leave. And I don't think we had done Pride Comes Before the Fall live.
okay.
So if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but that's what's in my head. So,
Right.
but the rest of them we had played out. Yeah.
Right. You said you were kind of in a dark place, and then
Oh
you
yeah.
started did the band Melody Trucks band bring you out of that, help you come to terms?
Yes and no. It helped me cope. Um, I found out like once the pandemic hit and we all had to stop. You know, in my mind and in my heart, I truly felt like I was doing this to heal. Like I was out there, I was doing it to heal. But once everything stopped, I realized that I was kind of running from it. You know, and I had to stop and deal with it. There was no, I couldn't run from it. I couldn't just keep busy, you know. But I mean, I'm not saying that that band didn't help me, because it did deeply help me.
Right.
Being able to perform and being able to talk about my dad, and Freight Train is the song I wrote about my dad, and that was, it all helped, but I wasn't really dealing with it until things stopped.
Right. There you go. So COVID was, it kind of gave you an extra whammy with not having the band anymore,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it was. I don't really remember the first 6 to 8 months of the pandemic because I was working from home. Like I said, I had a corporate job, and so I never missed a day of work. I just started working from home, and it was just literally like from the couch to my computer, and I would work, and then I go back to the couch, and then I get up and I work, and that's all I did for like 8 months, and I just had to be with myself, obviously with my family too. They were there to help me through it.
Mhm.
But I had to deal with my feelings, and I had been running from them, and I didn't even realize I'd been running from them. So,
right. I always call it a COVID year, and it lasted 30 months.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I started a YouTube channel at the very beginning of 2020 before we knew what COVID was, and then a month later we knew. And I try to track my life by that because it hit 4 years already.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so all right, so we're in COVID, and I guess we come out of COVID, and you're like, okay, I know Melody Trucks Band. I'm putting that to rest because it was me and it was those guys specifically.
Mhm.
How did you decide to pick back up and get yourself back out there?
Um, well, it was kind of a slow roll, to be honest. Um, my brother and I have a band together called Brother and Sister. So we had literally done one show. I think it was in January of 2020. And it was either late January or early February. And then that was it. Literally, we did one show and then everything shut down. So we decided to pick that back up again. And then I was sitting in with people, and, it just kind of slowly evolved. That's the most I can say. I don't know an exact trajectory because it's not anything I plotted or planned. I just kept putting myself out there and trying to do stuff and just kept going. So
Yeah. And you call the project brother and sister because
yeah.
you guys are both on the cover of an Allman Brothers album.
Well, my brother is on the front cover, and it's brothers and sisters, and
Right.
I'm on the inside. I'm not the kid on the back. That's
Right.
that's Brittany Oakley. But I'm if you open the cover and they see that big family picture, and you'll find Vaylor. My dad is holding Vaylor on the very, very far left, and just to the right of him is a woman holding a baby. That's
And that's you.
yeah.
Is that weird to look at?
No, I've seen it my whole life, so
Right, I guess, right.
it'd be weird
Right.
to not look at it. I don't know.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.